George C.Peden is an emeritus professor of history at Stirling University, Scotland. He has written about the British Treasury, Keynesian economics, economic aspects of defence and foreign policy, the welfare state, and some recent Scottish economic history. He was born in Dundee in 1943 and educated at Grove Academy, Broughty Ferry. He worked for 8 years as a sub-editor of the Dundee Evening Telegraph before becoming a mature student at Dundee University, graduating MA with first-class honours in modern history in 1972. He was a postgraduate at Brasenose College, Oxford, and a research fellow at the Institute of Historical Research, London, and graduated D.Phil from Oxford in 1976, having completed his thesis under the supervision of Professor N. H. Gibbs. He was a temporary lecturer in history, Leeds University, 1976–7, lecturer in economic and social history, and then reader in economic history, Bristol University, 1977–90, and professor of history, Stirling University, 1990–2008. He was a British Academy Research Reader, 1987–9, and visiting fellow, All Souls College, Oxford, 1988–9, and St Catherine's College, Oxford, 2002. He is a Fellow of the Royal Society of Edinburgh. According to the first version of this article, probably written by a student, Peden had a reputation for insisting on high standards of grammar in essays, perhaps reflecting his earlier career as a sub-editor. He lives in Callander on the edge of the Scottish Highlands, and divides his time between hill walking and research and writing. Publications: books British Rearmament and the Treasury, 1932–1939. British Economic and Social Policy, Lloyd George to Margaret Thatcher. Keynes, The Treasury and British Economic Policy. The Treasury and British Public Policy, 1906–1959. Keynes and His Critics. Treasury Responses to the Keynesian Revolution, 1925–1946. The Transformation of Scotland, The Economy since 1700, Arms, Economics and British Strategy, From Dreadnoughts to Hydrogen Bombs. Articles in journals and chapters in books are Warren Fisher and British Rearmament Against Germany, English Historical Review, Volume 94, pp. 29–47. Keynes, The Treasury and Unemployment in the Later 1930s, Oxford Economic Papers, Volume 32, pp. 1–18. Keynes, The Economics of Rearmament and Appeasement, in W. J. Mommsen and J. Ketanaka, The Fascist Challenge and Appeasement, pp. 142–56. Sir Richard Hopkins and the Keynesian Revolution in Employment Policy, 1929–45, Economic History Review, Volume 36, pp. 281–96. The Treasury as the Central Department of Government, 1919–1939, Public Administration, Volume 61, pp. 235–50. Arms, Government and Businessman, 1935–1945, in J. Turner, Businessman and Politics. Studies of Business Activity in British Politics, 1900–1945, pp. 130–45 and 191–3. The Burden of Imperial Defence and the Continental Commitment Reconsidered, Historical Journal, Volume 27, pp. 405–23. A Matter of Timing, The Economic Background to British Foreign Policy, 1937–1939, History, Volume 69, pp. 15–28, also published as Perceptions Britanniques de la Puissance économique à la fin des années 1930, in Argiro and R. Frank, La Puissance en Europe, 1938–1940, pp. 187–202. The Treasury View on Public Works and Employment in the Interwar Period, Economic History Review, Volume 37, pp. 167–81. Economic Aspects of British Perceptions of Power on the Eve of the Cold War, in J. Becker and F. Nipping, Power in Europe, Great Britain, France, Italy and Germany in a Post-War World, 1945–1950, pp. 237–61. Keynes, in S. Glynn and A. Booth, The Road to Full Employment, pp. 97–108. Old Dogs and New Tricks, The British Treasury and Keynesian Economics in the 1940s and 1950s, in M.O. Ferner and B. Supple, The State and Economic Knowledge, The American and British Experiences, pp. 208–38. Winston Churchill, Neville Chamberlain and a Defensive Empire, in J. B. Hatton, Orphan M. H. Murphet, The Limitations of Military Power, pp. 160–72. Economic Aspects of British Perceptions of Power, in E. Dinolfo, Power in Europe. 2. Great Britain, France, Germany and Italy and the Origins of the EEC, 1952–1957, pp. 139–59. An Agenda for the Economic History of 20th Century Scotland, Scottish Economic and Social History, Volume 13, pp. 5–26. Modernisering in den 50er Jahren, die Britische Erfahrung in Ashilton A. Siwatek, Modernisierung im Wiederaufbau, die Westdeutsche Gesellschaft der 50er Jahre, pp. 47–68. The Road to and from Gaelic, Lloyd George, Unemployment, Inflation, and the Treasury View, in 1921, 20th Century British History, Volume 4, pp. 224–49. Economic Knowledge and the State in Modern Britain, in S. J. D. Green and R. C. Whiting, The Boundaries of the State in Modern Britain, pp. 170–87. The Treasury View in the Interwar Period, An Example of Political Economy, in B. Corrie, Unemployment and the Economists, pp. 69–88. From Cheap Government to Efficient Government, The Political Economy of Public Expenditure, 1832–1914, in D. Winch and P. K. O'Brien, The Political Economy of British Economic Experience, 1688–1914, pp. 351–78. British Treasury Responses to the Keynesian Revolution, 1925–1939, Annals of the Society for the History of Economic Thought, No. 44, pp. 31–44. The Treasury and the City, in R. Michie and P. Williamson, The British Government and the City of London in the 20th Century, pp. 117–34. The Managed Economy, Scotland, 1919–2000, in T. M. Devine, C. H. Lee and G. C.Peden, The Transformation of Scotland, The Economy Since 1700, pp. 233–65. Keynes and British Economic Policy, in R. E. Backhouse and B. W. Bateman, The Cambridge Companion to Keynes, pp. 98–117. The Treasury and the Defensive Empire, in G. Kennedy, Imperial Defense, The Old World Order, 1856–1956, pp. 71–110. Financing Churchill's Army, in K. Nielsen and G. Kennedy, The British Way in Warfare, Power and the International System, 1856–1956, pp. 277–99. Sir Horace Wilson and Appeasement, Historical Journal, Volume 53, pp. 983-1014. War and Peace, the British Army after the victories of 1918 and 1945, in p. Dennis and J. Gray, Victory or Defeat, Armies in the Aftermath of Conflict, pp. 81-103. A New Scotland. The Economy, in T. M. Devine and J. Wormold, The Oxford Handbook of Modern Scottish History, pp. 652-70. Suez and Britain's Decline as a World Power, Historical Journal, Volume 55, pp. 1073-1096. Recognizing and Responding to Relative Decline, The Case of Post-War Britain, Diplomacy and Statecraft, Volume 24, pp. 59-76. Merging National Insurance Contributions and Income Tax, Lessons of History, Economic Affairs, Volume 34, pp. 2-13. Chamberlain, The British Army and the Continental Commitment, in M. Murfitt, Shaping British Foreign and Defence Policy in the 20th Century, pp. 86-110. The Royal Navy and Grand Strategy, 1937-1941, in N. Roger J. Dancy, B. Darnell and E. Wilson's Strategy and the Sea, pp. 148-58.